yeah, how do you feel Pakistani music did this year?
Really interesting, right? Like from 2020, like talk about hard pivots, like
Yeah,
बिल्कुल ही
yeah,
बदल गया scene, right? If you
yeah.
think about like 2018, 2017, अब scene बिल्कुल ही different है, in lots of ways. But let's look at a few big ones. Like
Mhm.
Coke
Yeah,
it was a hit year for Coke, but
yeah.
Coke is a blip in the music scene,
Mm, mm,
right? Even though it was a hit.
yeah,
Um, uh, and there's so much more other stuff happening, not just in terms of number of artists, number of genres, but also like hit songs. Like so many indie, huge hit songs that are like Coke level that happened with like two guys on a laptop in a room that
yeah,
made it big in
yeah,
India.
yeah,
Like we have
yeah.
lots of those kinds of stories. I think the genres have changed quite a bit. Um, Rock is dead, long live rock. Um,
Once again.
but lots of electronic stuff, like
Yeah,
lots of hip hop, which I think
yeah.
all of these trajectories for me are not surprising in 2022 compared to like 21 and 20 if you were listening to it. But I think the scene has just become stronger. Like people that were rising stars last year are now like
Stars.
big ticket items and have settled,
Mm,
right? And they are like
mm.
definitive stars. You see them on billboards, you see them in TV ads, you see them on the kind of big productions, and then everybody under them is now taken their place. And I think the good thing in the industry now is that you see that as the indie stars of last year become big stars today, that there is still a new cast of indie stars that have popped up and taken their place. And so the overall pool is growing, I find. So the likelihood that you will find new music that you have not heard that you will find interesting is higher this year than it was last year. So I think that's a really healthy sign for the industry. I've been in Pakistan a lot more this year than I've been before. I feel like concerts and um, uh, uh, just sort of events around music are increasing quite a bit. So it's no longer just the shows and like the corporate shows on TV and the few kind of big events that happen, but lots more kind of smaller concerts of varying sizes, multiple people in a lineup, also like one person playing to a small crowd, like large variety of that is happening. Um, and Natasha talks about a lot. I think in a recent interview, she said like what 2020 did in COVID was by reducing basic the whole concert scene to zero. It took this monopoly that all these big artists that were the only ones doing concerts had and
Yeah,
made it a level playing field for everyone, right? Like
yeah.
Bilal Maqsood, Ali Sethi, and all these rappers were all on Instagram. And so now all
Mm.
of them are equal to you. And suddenly it has like kind of changed the dynamics of the industry to the point where now when concerts are opening up, all of these new folks are performing the big shows just like the old folks.
Right.
And
I
I think
think
it has been a net
2020 is also
net gain.
when Spotify be, I think around that time came, right?
Somewhere around that
Yeah,
time, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Huh. I,
So that's been a big boost. Now across Lahore, you see these like huge Spotify billboards where these like indie stars are kind of on the road as you're going, which you haven't seen in a long time, I don't think.
yeah.
These ads are on TV as well, and so I'm sure that you'll begin to see uh, music folks in other advertisements more so now than you have before, closer to the scene like in the early 2000s when you were seeing like the music folks were everywhere. So yeah, I think it's a really healthy year.